Welcome to day 2 of the Rocket League DreamHack Championship here in Sweden. We are so excited to be bringing you this day of action. It's going to be a great championship. We will crown our champion today. So much going to happen. I'm your host, Wavepunk. I've got a Karma here with me. I've got a Shogun here with me. We've got some others in the house too, but right now it's going to start off with us. They'll join us shortly. We'll get into the matches. But yeah, guys, yesterday, what a day. What a marathon of a day, but some great Rocket League happened.
Awesome Rocket League, especially the last series, the upset. Aerial.
Arrow Kings.
I was going to say Aerial Kings. Arrow Kings and the upset there against Method. What a way to end the day, especially after such a long day we had. And it was a great series to end on.
Yeah, got to be a heartbreaker there for Method, coming in, being so close so many times, but just not quite making it through there in the end. Arrow King's going to be able to take that bottom 8 spot.
Yeah, it's one of those things, though, of right now there's so much going on Rocket League. You saw them on Twitter. They were just saying, okay, we lost this. It's not quite what we wanted, but we did get to come out and meet everyone, these players that we've been playing with so long, and we'll be back. There's a lot of other events going on, so they'll be happy with that.
Yep, I remember seeing a lot tweeting out. He's like, all right, well, we still have the Gfinity Elite Series. We still have RLCS Season 4 coming up, so a lot still out there for them to play. a lot to play. That guy's name gets me every time.
It's not great.
No. So other than Arrow Kings, which teams impressed you guys the most yesterday? Which teams played better than you expected to see them play?
Prophecy, for sure. For me, at least. I thought Prophecy was a team that I thought was really good. I did not think that they would make it through the top 8, just because of usually the kind of bubble teams, or the teams with the subs. I thought that the top 8 would be strictly the pro teams, teams like Method, teams like Gale Force, and I'm really happy to see teams like Prophecy and Arrow Kings prove that the teams can come together, especially locally, and pull some upsets. That's what Rocket League and LANs are all about.
I mean, we only saw them once yesterday, but if I was to say anything other than Gale Force with their 19 goals to 0, I did check out the team that they were playing against. I think it was all unranked players.
Yeah.
So a little bit of salt to go with that, but at the same time, Gale Force, we didn't really see much, but at the same time, they are going to be phenomenal today.
Do you think that could also be a problem, Shogi, going forward, saying that
There's been a whole day between it all. All of these teams are going to be coming in fresh, so...
You don't think not playing competition, or not that the team was in competition, but you said that they were unranked players. Do you think not playing
well, they've played
stable team
plenty of games off-stream as well. That wouldn't have been the only game that they had to play, so... They've had competition getting to this stage. They've got there in the upper side. They've got they've got themselves a better seeding. And that is really just showing this new Gale Force squad. They can play together, but we need to see it on stream. We know they can, but we don't know what is enabling that right now because we've not been able to see it.
Yeah, for sure. And we can take a look at the bracket for what we've got in store for today. We will start off the day with Gale Force playing up against Team Infused. So only got to see them like once yesterday. We'll see them right here off the top of the day going up against Doomsy and the boys. And then moving on, we'll see Penta Sports take on Rogue, Flipside Tactics to take on Prophecy, and Diffused Kids will take on the Upset Kings there. Arrow Kings. And if we look at the schedule for what will be in store for today, how the order of the matches is going to go, I believe we do start with Gale Force and then Infused, and then we'll just kind of move down the course of the bracket there.
If they scored 19 goals to 0 in this one, then we know that they are absolutely phenomenal.
That would be pretty crazy. And you know, taking a look at those teams who are still with here, we're talking about teams that impressed us today, teams that surprised. Penta's a team that surprised me coming out and beating Method. Very close series there, but I believe they did it in 2 games, in a close 2 games. Killer number 7 playing in a form we have not seen him playing before, so great to see those guys here. They're still in the top 8.
Yeah, that Penta versus Rogue series is going to be a really interesting one because Rogue coming from North America, the only NA team to be here, correct? That's a pro team?
I believe it's the only team that's left for sure.
Going up against Penta, which is a fast EU team, which is something that NA probably struggles with. So I really want to see how the NA team comes into Europe and see if they can handle that fast EU play style and see how they react to that.
Absolutely. Johnny Boy, welcome. Glad you could join us here. A wild Johnny Boy appears.
Yeah, sorry, I slept in today.
Man, it was a good day for sleeping. I slept great last night. The best sleep I have had so far in Sweden happened last night. So
it was a great show last night. I know that myself and Shogun went to the lights show. Everybody I talked to at DreamHack said make sure to go to the lights show, and I was like, what is the lights show? I don't really know, but it's really cool. So if you make it next year to the DreamHack Summer, I'm not sure if they do it at Winter, but if they do, then be sure to check it out. It's definitely a fun time. Midnight.
If we want to sell it to you, it has fire.
Okay. Yeah, it's fire. It's far away, but it's so hot you can feel it.
And then they just blast confetti at your faces. It's absolutely fantastic.
Music, lights,
everything gamers love, confetti and fire. Yes, these are things we're known for. Johnny, we're talking about teams that impressed us yesterday, teams that we weren't expecting to see play, that went above expectations. Who stood out for you yesterday?
For me, Diffused kids. I think Scrubkiller in particular. I've never seen him play badly on a stage. It's the second time that he played on stage. Well, I guess he played twice yesterday and then once at Insomnia 60. And every time he seems to show up. And I did not think that they looked that organized in their first series yesterday. But by the time it got around to the second series, they were looking much better, and they dismantled Rogue completely. If they could do that again, I think a finals spot is almost certain for them here.
I think one thing that really actually helps out Diffused kids is the fact that I'm not too sure about Niels Cook. I haven't managed to speak to him all that much, but Scrubkiller and Pashi, they are definitely those sort of personalities of if they had to take the penalty in the World Cup final, they would, because they would like the spotlight to be on them. When you come to these tournaments and you are in front of a crowd, when you are on a stage, having that sort of personality type of just, yeah, I want it to be about me. I want to be the standout here. I don't want to just sit back and be in the corner and let everything else sort of work out around me. That sort of personality type really helps out.
But you need Niels Cook as well, because he's
I'm just saying, I don't quite know how Niels Cook is.
I think that having that filler player who doesn't care if he is in the spotlight and he's quite happy to just let Pashi and Scrub do their thing is really important, because he'll be filling the gaps whenever he needs to. And he did yesterday. He just had a really quiet series, but he also didn't make really any mistakes. He didn't put a foot wrong. So that's why he kind of went unnoticed, because he didn't do anything incredibly good against Rogue, but he also did nothing bad. So he just got through the series.
And that's the interesting thing, because that's not the role he took at all on Kaunos. He was the offensive player there, but it seems like he's sitting back a little bit more. It's just showing just how adaptable a lot of these players are. Greasy, we saw, went from a very offensive player, definitely different into the role that he ends up taking in Flipside. You know, this isn't like other esports where you've got to try and train a top laner to go down and be a support. You can train someone to be the role you want them to be in about 2 weeks, maybe even less.
And as we take a look at the schedule for what we've got in store for today, we're going to be starting off with Gale Force versus Infused. Which matches are you looking forward to the most?
I'm looking forward to the Rogue Penta series.
The Rogue Penta?
Yeah, I want to see the NA team versus the EU team, especially the way Penta plays. As I mentioned earlier, they're super fast. They're fast in the air, something that North America is as well. But the difference between North America and Europe is the play style with the speed. Europe seems to be more controlled, more passing, more of a team-oriented play style with the speed. And North America seems to have that speed, but they don't have as much control with the ball with that speed. So I want to see how North America's only team Rogue fares against that.
Yeah, it really is. I have to agree with that one entirely. It really is a case of we keep harping on about the depth in EU. This is the first real opportunity we've had to test it. The depth of EU versus the number 2 team from NA. Penta have a chance to make a real name for themselves here if they can take a win. Rogue, obviously, they did have a couple of IRL issues, like ear infections, lost luggage, getting in late. They looked a little bit more jovial out there this morning. That's a good thing.
They feel much better.
Yes, so that's going to be important for them. But it's going to be very interesting to see how that one turns out.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for sure. I definitely have my eye on that one as well as the Flipside series, just because we didn't really see Flipside tested yesterday, and you told me that off stream they dropped a game to Bob's Beans.
They certainly did.
So that's not a good sign, because going up against Prophecy, that's a stronger team than Bob's Beans. And if you're dropping a game to Bob's Beans, you might drop 2 to Prophecy, maybe even 3, because this will be best of 5s today.
Yes.
So we're going to have to keep an eye on Flipside versus Prophecy as well. The 8th seed coming in here, definitely a tough team.
Yeah, those two later games that we saw of Prophecy going up against Flipside and then Aereo Kings taking on Diffused Kids, those are the two I'm most interested in, because these are the 2 teams that are the closest to being kind of the upset underdog stories here in our tournament right now. So if Prophecy can take it to Flipside in 5 games, that's pretty crazy. This is a single elimination bracket today, so if a team drops a series here, they're out for the tournament. And from moving on forward, you get 1 chance, you get 1 loss, and then you're done. But it is best of 5 up until the finals. We'll go into a best of 7, so a bit more on the line, and there's a big difference in the way you can approach a series when it's best of 5, especially compared to a best of 3 where it's just win 2 games and you're done. Here you can lose 2 games and still possibly come back into it. It'll be a bit different mentality, much more of an endurance test for these teams today.
Yeah, the first game in the best of 5 is usually what I like to call is like the feeling out period. Obviously you're trying to win the game, but at the same time you're trying to figure out what that team is doing to counter you. And in the best of 5 series, as compared to a best of 3, you really have an opportunity to see what is happening to you, try and change mid-game, and react as the series moves forward.
Yep. So We'll be getting into Gale Force versus Team Infused. So let's talk about this matchup in particular. Gale Force, a team that we didn't see too much of yesterday, but who is considered one of the tournament favorites. Going up against Infused, Doomsy and friends, who's always been a fan favorite, but has always been kind of the lovable losers who have never been able to quite get through. Thoughts about this matchup, Shogun?
This is probably the biggest question mark we have on any match. We know that Gale Force has got a new roster. We know that this roster looks very strong, but we don't know how strong. On the other hand, we've got Team Infused, team that we said yesterday has got really high highs, really low lows. So we don't actually quite know enough about these teams to make solid predictions, but if I had to make one, it would be Gale Force just based on talent roster alone.
My eyes are going to be on Doomsy in particular, because speaking to him before or outside the games and then seeing his performance yesterday, he says that on stage he has been struggling and that in scrims he's been doing much better. So will he be able to transition those performances from scrims to the stage? We're about to find out. Game 1, Gale Force versus Team Infused.
And I really must say that I'm going to be looking towards the aerial game of Gale Force. Can Team Infused keep up? That'll be mostly on Bluey to keep that going, as that's going to be immediately up high. Sebadam actually fakes that out, and Bluey will take an important opening goal. Continuing to try and push it over the top, gets it across both players, and because the rotation had not started just yet, Team Infused can get it before anyone is back in the net, and Bluey is an important player to get the confidence rolling on. He is a youngster, and Scrubkiller has shown that youngsters can perform on the stage. Those two have already played against each other during the last Insomnia event, which Scrubkiller came out on top of. But Team Infused will try and capitalize on that opening goal and try and open up a further lead. One goal towards the beginning will not be enough to settle on.
Should Gale Force lose here, some people might call this the end of their honeymoon phase. As we have talked about this before, new teams sometimes go through an extremely strong phase right after forming a roster together, and that sometimes leads to rosters forming a little bit early, or earlier than they should, with untested results in Rocket League. And will Gale Force have that same problem? We're about to find out. One goal is not the end for them. They'll be glad right now that it's a best of 5. But so far for Team Infused, they're looking really threatening to start things off. Nearly a double. Doomsy rattling the crossbar. Sebadam, aerial demo, and K-Dop. It's all going well for Infused right now.
Yeah, they've done a very good job of rotating around, going for deep rotations, sending everyone back to their very far back 100% boosts. And so allowing them to be prepared for any attempts at clears by Gale Force. But now they're going to have to deal with some offensive attempts because they need to get it out of their own half. They've allowed the aerial to come through, but they could not quite predict the roof down bull. So 2 minutes into this matchup, Team Infused are still in the lead by that opening 20 seconds goal by Bluey. And really look at Bluey and Sebadam. In fact, Bluey in pretty much any combination on this team can really come together for some phenomenal goal scoring.
Yeah,
it's a lovely cutting pass.
He's certainly world class right now, but another player who's world class is Turbo. Season 3 world champion, gets the tie game. Great pass by K-Dop. Look at that awareness to put the ball to his blind spot to the right. Turbo Pulse, a self-set rebound. K-Dop with a really, really nice pass there. These guys, more than any other team here, like to go for that infield pass directly to the center of the field. We need to watch out for that, and Infused need to watch out for that. But a passing play from Infused, that was one of the main things that they were good at Insomnia 60 up until the grand finals, and then they really fell apart in that regard. But if they can get their passing plays working today, I really feel like this could be a 5-game series here.
Yeah, Doomsy, one of those players that does react very well also when the gameplay is very fast-paced. But they do need to have bull and boost control for that to work. K-Dop's going to have an opportunity. Oh, no, he's not. He is in pieces across our floor. But boost stolen from the middle means Sebadam is going to have to deal with this by himself. He's still got nothing over in the corner, but he'll thankfully take the rolling ball towards him. But still, Gale Force have turned the momentum in their favor. Ever since that first goal went in, they've slowly crept further and further down the field.
Some great hard clears coming in from Team Infused, though, giving them the breathing room to collect boost. Many teams will complain about playing against teams like Gale Force, teams like Diffused, that they just get bullied and they can't ever get the ball out of their half and collect boost for themselves. But Infused, these hard clears, are working wonders for them. They have so much breathing room because of hits just like that one right over the top of one player, making it difficult for the second player. One touch for Doomsy now, looking to take control of the ball. I love that they're finding the passing plays, and everybody misses for Gale Force. They're panicking because they know Bluey's lurking at the back post. Yep,
Infused doing a very good job so far of putting the ball into positions where only a large clear will help out Gale Force. Gives them time to pick up boost. Now Bluey's going to go the entire way. Gets that into a dangerous position. Loops over the top, and there is Sebadam. Bluey comes out with a big play.
That's a huge play by Bluey. Almost getting the rebound himself. Violent Panda has no idea where to go because he has to defend the left and the right simultaneously. We've talked about this before. Air dribbles off the wall. Bluey is your man.
Bluey very capable at just changing the tide of a game by himself. That's going to be dangerous yet again. K-Dop had to turn his car around in time. He's just about to going to be in position as Team Infused are going to get back to the rotation they were employing towards the beginning of the game. K-Dop gets it up high. He has got the boost to try and go for it, but is going to choose against it. Instead, choosing to rotate back.
Final minute here. Team Infused in the lead. The first seed against the 8th seed on the day here. And our first seed are struggling. Gale Force have looked so good online. They looked great yesterday, but Team Infused are playing at their best exactly when it matters. Final 20 seconds, Shogun. Can Team Infused hold on?
Certainly are going to have to, as Gale Force are going to have one last throw of the dice. Control there by Turbo Pulsar. Tries to go the entire way, but a save from Bluey. He is on fire this morning, but he'll need to keep it going on. 7 seconds now. Bluey looks to put it up. Doomsy is going to rotate back, knowing that they don't want to overdo it. Ball off the side. Now Gale Force need to carry it, but they cannot do so. Team Infused, very professionally done towards the end. Keep the rotation going. Don't get too greedy, and they pick up game number 1.
And we talked about Doomsy beforehand. He's not been able to find a good performance on stage this entire tournament. Well, he found one when it mattered most. Great play from Doomsy and the boys. Solid rotation, getting so much space on the field to do what they want to do. If Bluey's able to find space to air dribble off the wall, you know that is a really, really good thing for Team Infused because that's one of his strongest assets. It's the reason they won the game, and Gale Force need to look out for that. If they're going to let Bluey have that much space to set up an air dribble right into the crossbar, Team Infused could be looking at a series win here, and this is single elimination. Gale Force are on the brink.
They really are. There's 2 more games left for Infused to win before they can knock out Gale Force. But currently, Gale Force, they can't even get a single player downfield to look for a redirect because they're spending so much time having to get all the way back because of these hard clears. If a hard clear is going straight towards the side of your goal, even if it's going to bounce off the backboard, you have to send pretty much everyone back unless you really want to take a risk. And it hasn't been a risk that Gale Force has wanted to take, but now that they're a game down, maybe they'll start to look to it a little bit more.
I do still feel, though, that Gale Force have the stronger individual talent by a small margin. I think that at least one game this series will go to them just because they are so good on the ground and their passing is probably second to none at this tournament. Team Infused need to be so careful looking out for these infield passes. That is how the only goal for Gale Force occurred in Game 1.
And let us remind ourselves that Team Infused only lost the most important of their games against Diffused Kids back at Insomnia, taking 2 wins against them, very much how Sector 1 did at Insomnia 58 as well before dropping to Crown and Jewels. Sebadam looks to try and follow that one up. Turbo Pulsar tried to get there, but Sebadam gets the front of his car straight into the middle of the ball, is going to win that challenge.
Win by Bluey.
And that leaves 2 players left. K-Dop going to get that into a dangerous position, but Doomsy half flips and gets the block and goes for the clear as well. He's managed to find Bluey. That is great gameplay into the dangerous position, and Bluey will drop that off the crossbar. Doomsy deserves a huge amount of credit for that goal.
This all started with a half flip dunk from Doomsy. And then he recovers and sets the ball forward to Bluey, who had the presence of mind to make the run downfield. They're in the lead again. I've never seen Doomsy look so focused, yet animated at the same time. We know that these are 2 things that he likes to be, but look at that focus on his face. They are determined to win this game. As Bluey with a ground punch attempt, they really are getting so many more effective shots and chances right now than Gale Force.
It is really scary. If you have any combination of Bluey plus Sebadam or Bluey plus Doomsy with 100 boost, they can pull out miracles across the field. There's going to be an attempt at another one off into the middle of the pitch. Bluey will attempt to continue as Sebadam tried to rotate in. And now all of Team Infused need to get themselves back because K-Dop is very dangerous and he is lurking. 90 seconds into this match, and we are exactly how we were in game number 1. Team Infused up by a single goal.
Sebadam, his aerial game has been so good this game and the last. Something that we often call into question. One of his arguably weaker aspects, but it is yet to be a weakness in this series. Winning multiple aerial 50-50s, shutting down everything that Gale Force tried to do high above the net of Team Infused. If they can keep this up, Team Infused need to, or the Gale Force, sorry, need to bring the game to the ground.
Bluey tried to use that wall yet again to carry the ball across the entire length of the field. As this could be Violent Panda looking for K-Dop, who will miss. Now these another launch. Something that Team Infused are going for quite often is these launching passes from their side of the net, looking for a player downfield. Now K-Dop can take the shot. Not quite enough power. In fact, yes, there is. The defender not able to get enough on the ball to push it to the side. We are tied up yet again.
Great positioning, and the last adjustment there from K-Dop. That little wiggle to the left to set himself up for the power shot. He needed to hit that just that hard and no less powerful, or else it would have been saved. That's the tied game, and all it needed was a strong 50-50. Bluey was playing patiently, but the challenge wasn't enough. Really well done by Gale Force. They've hung on here to the Team Infused onslaught, and now they're back on level terms.
I don't think I see a single player in here that I would necessarily class as a average 1v1 player. Everyone pretty high up in those ratings, although Doomsy has a pretty bad losing record against Sebadam. But now
K-Dop again.
Infused find themselves trailing 2-1, and it's just K-Dop. He's got all the space in the world here as Infused find themselves in the right-hand side of their goal.
That's the least organized that Infused have looked all series. I really feel like that tie game from Gale Force might have rattled them a little bit. They need to try and focus on the task ahead of them. And right now they're struggling on a kickoff even. This is really bad news for Team Infused. Gale Force have got that tight game, and they really didn't do anything fancy to get it. They just brute forced 2 goals. We knew that this was going to be a danger. Gale Force are capable of getting goals just from a 50-50 because of their 1v1 prowess.
Especially with Team Infused leaving players downfield as often as they are. If they lose a 50-50 with the passing player, that only leaves very little left in terms of defense. Sebadam tries to take it down, but Violent Panda's got that one. Cutting pass over to K-Dop, but well read by Sebadam. Now Doomsy is by himself.
Oh, everybody's in the corner.
Thankfully see everyone in the corner. Bluey puts that one up high. Doomsy cannot get to that, and Sebadam will not rotate in. An opportunity for Infused, but the pass was not good enough. Now Bluey tries to take it the entire way yet again as Sebadam comes round to try and help him out. Infused really heavily looking for the passing plays, but they're not quite finding the end results so far.
I really think that the ground game of Gale Force is looking superior right now. Violent Panda is a very, very solid dribbler, and he sets up a ground shot here. Almost unstoppable. Bluey's on the pre-jump. He knows he has to defend the near post, but Violent Panda puts it behind him. 3-1. It did not look that difficult for Gale Force to score these goals. They are just playing so well in the 50-50. They're passing so quickly. They're tracking each other very, very closely. Team Infused might need to step up a little bit faster.
As a case of, because Team Infused are always leaving one person back, if they lose that 50-50, which is happening more often than it really should, it is allowing Gale Force to get themselves simple goals. And this is not a team that you really want to be challenging too often.
K-Dop in particular loves to track the play close by. Watch out for him following teammates off his own who are dribbling in front of him. He'll just track them and he'll try and mirror their movements, predict where the ball is going to spill loose. Oh, Doomsy will get 1 goal back for Team Infused. This game might not be over just yet, but that was the only goal that we've seen in the past few minutes for Team Infused. Before that, we saw 4 for Gale Force. They need a good kickoff here, and they have not been doing too well on the kickoff, sometimes getting shots on their own net immediately after it.
Well, Team Infused will be happy to end the 4-goal slide. Now they've got 40 seconds to get 2 more. Gale Force just need to continue to play the game that they have done so far. As that's going to be over into the corner. Doomsy has to deal with it, but it is up high. basically inviting Violent Panda to attack it. Sebadam, long looping clear from him. And this is going to invite Team Infused to start moving forward, cutting past towards the middle, but Sebadam does not want to go for it. He saw Bluey up as well.
Never, never.
Chose better of it, and there is Sebadam playing it into the corner. 13 seconds. It has to go in right now, but that demo might just end the game. That goal is not going to go in. This one might, however, and it will. That will end it.
Hat trick for K-Dot. 2 goals for Violent Panda, and they've all been from the ground. We knew that Team Infused were looking to be matching them in the air. Sebadam having a great series in terms of aerial 50-50s. But when those 50-50s came to the ground, K-Dop and Turbo Pulse's mastery shone through. They've been so solid when they're contacting the ball. And now we're going to have a tie series here. The best of 5 has become a best of 3. This is single elimination, like we keep saying. The loser of this is out. The winner will at least quadruple the money that they're going to be going home with this weekend.
Certainly will, and they will be going on to our semi-finals. Both these teams looking pretty light. Not into the nitty-gritty just yet. You saw earlier on, Infused, despite going another goal down, we're still laughing around with each other. And Gale Force, always just having a bit of a chill time, still in their honeymoon phase.
Doomsy and Sebadam need to revert back to game 1. What they were doing in game 1 was so good because they just gave each other so much space in defense. And that let Bluey run riot. Yep. We saw the young man causing problems for Gale Force. And if they want to enable Bluey to play in that manner, Doomsy and Sebadam need to play perfectly. If they are ever caught in the same location, if they ever go for the same ball, if they ever miss-hit the ball once between them, then that might just be a goal for Gale Force. But their win condition, I think, is exactly how they're playing, and that is let Bluey play his game, let him make these attempts on goal happen, and even if he does hit the crossbar, that's when Sebadam and Doomsy can follow up. But will they be able to play that perfect 2-man defense? It's a very unique style. I don't know if any other team in Rocket League can really play like this, just letting one player run riot up front.
No, but if you were to pick a player, Bluey is certainly a good one for it. Probably one of the best ball carriers across both regions. As we get ourselves into game number 3. And as you mentioned earlier, Johnny, effectively a best of 3 at this point. As Gale Force will look to capitalize on their earlier win. Violent Panda will have his opportunity to rotate in as he tries to do a cutting pass, but no one there to follow up. Now Bluey, he's up in the air. This is where he is most dangerous. But too much angle on the pass means he could not control the ball for a double tap off the backboard. K-Dop will use that side wall, but Team Infused, that's exactly what they did game 1, will look to control that middle ground. Because if they allow Gale Force to fully boost up and control the ball on the floor, uncontested, then they could be in a world of trouble.
It's a decent first touch by Sebadam. I'm glad to see Sebadam mixing up his play in defense, sometimes taking that touch, sometimes going for the hard clear immediately. And again, Sebadam is solid in the challenge. He's been looking good today. The player is most disappointed with their performance on the stage in Insomnia 60 was Sebadam. Today he has, so far, done himself and his team proud. They're still very much in this series, starting off very promisingly with an open shot. It's the slow one though. K-Dop will recover. Great job in his own crossbar. That
half rotation from Doomsy so important as well, as Gale Force were on the counter-attack. Able to not only avoid a potential goal-scoring opportunity, but turn it into a chance for his own team. But now Gale Force just spreading themselves out. That shot should be pretty easily dealt with and taken over the top of Bluey. That's going to be an awkward bounce. Both players from Team Infused have missed. And there's going to be a 2v1. Violent Panda is going to try and take some of the top. Lovely pass over to Turbo Pulsar, teeing it up, and then Turbo Pulsar takes the 9-iron to it.
Double whiff from, it was Sebadam and Doomsy up front. We said that this would be a problem. Bluey tried to play slowly to give his teammates time to recover, but he waited too long. Turbo Pulsar and Violent Panda, really nicely done. Team pinch attempt, taking the lead from the ground yet again. I think that is every single goal they have scored has been a ground shot or a dribbling play.
Bluey's now going to have to take himself back. Team Infused need to avoid that situation at any means possible, really. There's another cutting pass in, but Doomsy is actually already downfield. Try to take it down with him. As Bluey's just going to tap it on. Sebadam actually gets bumped by Violent Panda. Doomsy has to try and rotate himself over at K-Dop. Waits, gonna keep going. Kaydop has absolutely ripped and torn away at the minds of Team Infused.
The 1v1 skill of Kaydop, he just slows down into the 50-50, lets Doomsy pop the ball off of him, and then he fakes out Bluey as well. Perfect pop to the top corner. Kaydop showing off right now. 2-0 Gale Force are looking like the strong favorites that we expected them to be. Have Team Infused missed their opportunity? Their window that was wide open for them to jump through is rapidly closing.
I think Gale Force are starting to notice how often Team Infused do commit to the ball. They are certainly not the most hesitant team that we ever had. But that might be coming to bite them now as they find themselves 2 goals to the deficit. And have to start moving it forward. These shots directly at the keepers, though, will not do that. And Gale Force will start working it away. Doomsy finds himself by himself. He has to try and go for the challenge. There's going to be a shot, but no, a rotating challenge by Bluey is going to avoid a 3-0 and a potential game ender.
Yeah, Team Infused are definitely struggling to successfully and consistently challenge Gale Force. Whenever one of the Gale Force members is getting the ball on top of their car or in front of them, their ability to then flick it over the incoming attacker, or defender rather, is second to none, I feel, at this tournament. Sublime control, especially in a threes environment where there is hardly any time to make those first touches.
Violent Panda and the rest of Gale Force will just look to keep this out of their area. Minute and 20 seconds remaining, and they've done a very good job of that since going 2-0 up. Turbopulsar can get his hits with the bottom of his car, turns it straight in. Lovely downfield pass. That's the 3. That could be the game.
Kaydop is putting on a masterclass this game. He baited forward the entire Team Infused lineup there, just waiting to see them all step up, and then that is when he makes the high pass towards Turbo. Everybody on Team Infused is on the turn, and Turbopulse is not going to miss from there. He's striking just as accurately as he did at the RLCS LAN. 3-0. Team Infused are in a world of trouble right now, as this will be going to double match point for Gale Force. Even though there's a minute left in the clock, it does not look like Team Infused have got any way of scoring at the moment.
Yeah, it certainly looks like they need to start making adjustments. This has looked like the story ever since the last game. Constantly being caught out for lackluster defense. This Team Infused maybe relying a little bit too much on just challenging the ball.
Oh, the whiffs are coming in now.
Reactionary. 30 seconds remaining here. Gale Force will take this game, but Team Infused will be looking to try and nab some momentum heading in to what is now a do-or-die situation for them. 7M will look for that pass over to Doomsy, but too much pace on it, and this is just how quickly Gale Force can loop the ball back down to the Team Infused end. Did that in 2 seconds flat, maybe even less time, to be honest, as Kaydop will look to try and rub salt in the wound, but they cannot get the ball in. Final opportunity for Team Infused, but Gale Force will take game number 3, match point.
So yesterday this would have been game, set, match. But today, Infused have got one more lifeline. They need to win 2 games now. They will probably feel like they had a good shot in game 2. They did take game 1, but they're in a very, very tough position against a Gale Force who are all wearing smirks. They feel confident. The way that they've shut down Bluey is really quite spectacular. They're letting Bluey do his game that he wants to play. They're sometimes letting him go for the ball, and they're just letting him hit the ball at them. They don't want to get sucked into Bluey's world where he is going to outpace you in the air. He's going to beat you into a position on the wall. They're just faking challenges, faking aerials, letting Bluey hit the ball at them, and then they're slow playing on the ground. They're waiting for Team Infused to come to them. Kaydop, of course, no fear in the 50-50 from that man.
No, Kaydop has been very good, especially at his pacing of the game. Not only pulling out 2 defenders for a chipped pass over to Turbopulsar, but double faking the entirety of Team Infused, getting one, then getting the other. It's a case of if Kaydop has the ball and it's not at max speed, that's when you should be really afraid of him.
It's where all of these hours that Kaydop has put into grinding 1 versus 1 ladder comes to fruition. As we see how confident he is in his first touch, how capable he is at just manipulating the smallest of car movements to win 50-50s and to let players hit the ball into him in a situation that favors him. He comes into contact with these situations so often in 1 versus 1. It's such an efficient method of practice, and he has work ethic almost second to none in the Rocket League scene. But a whiff does enable Doomsy to have that open net, which Doomsy did not think was going to happen. He just expected K-Dop to hit that ball.
Yeah, and I don't quite know why he pulled out. Even if he did end up missing, no one was going to be back anyway.
Yeah, he's got to play it as if the whiff's going to happen there.
Exactly. As K-Dop and Gale Force will look to continue their momentum on and try and close out this series.
Oh, the bump onto Doomsy. Sets up the pass. There have been lots of back pass attempts from Team Infused this game. It looks like they're trying to change up their strategy here, play a little bit of possession maintenance rather than trying to just barrel forward as fast as possible and beat Gale Force with speed.
Bluey with 18 boosts just tried his hardest to do something. Definitely a set play that Team Infused like to go for, but it seemed like it was more forced than anything. Bluey in position because he felt compelled to, not that he could actually do something with it.
Gale Force are getting baited in here.
Panda.
I do feel like this strategy for Infused is showing some merit, but only if they can actually connect with that back pass. The back pass is wide open, but it gets whiffed, and that does set up a shot for K-Dop. And again, the ground play of Gale Force is leagues ahead of Team Infused in this series. And Violet Panda, every time we cut the camera to him, he's laughing. I'm not sure what he's laughing at. We're going to have to take a look at TurboPulse's joke book after this. Hopefully you can get him up on the desk and find out what on earth he's telling Violent Panda that's making him laugh so much.
So Team Infused now find themselves on a 5-goal slide? No, 4-goal slide. There's going to be 5 at this point in time. TurboPulse puts it in, and right now Team Infused look like they are starting to fall apart. The defense attempting to always chase down, but it is not working. There is no attempt at prediction by Team Infused. Instead, they are just trying to basically ball chase and rush the game down.
Every time that they lose a goal, it just seems to open up the floodgates to more goals. And Gale Force have been able to find that goal in games 2, 3, and 4 and follow it up with more. Team Infused, still 3 minutes left of the tournament life. They need 2 goals at least, and that would only take the game into overtime. And it's getting harder and harder. Sebadam barely gets that deflection clear. Another pass is already in the middle. These guys have used the back wall when they need to. They're hitting it directly into the middle when they need to. And look how close K-Dop is waiting. He knows exactly where to be. One of the best players in the world in terms of positioning. Definitely an underrated aspect and something that we can overlook sometimes, but K-Dop is playing so well this series. Nothing too flashy, but he's doing incredible work for his team today.
I believe the term is leaking goals for Team Infused right now, as they have put themselves further and further behind, just as they feel like they've got one large task ahead of them. They add on even more, just unable to deal with any of these infield passes, unable to deal with any of these pace change-ups that have come from K-Dop. And then at times, just simply making unforced errors on their own passes has resulted in them being in a very tight situation indeed, as Gale Force look to quadruple their earnings for this tournament. Doomsy needs to get boost. Him and Bluey try to work together, but instead they've powered it away from anywhere dangerous. And Sebadam simply has to try and react, but he was on 2 low boosts to win, and there's another mistake. Team Infused, before they can even beat Gale Force, they need to stop beating themselves, because they are 1 minute and 45 from being eliminated from DreamHack Sweden.
And it looks utterly helpless today. They started off with a glimmer of hope. They did probably play the best that I've seen anyone do against Gale Force, but sometimes your best against Gale Force just isn't enough, because the star quality on this team is just so good. We talked about it at the start of this tournament. We've got an RLCS Season 3 champion. We have an RLCS Season 3 Grand Finalist, an RLCS Season 2 Grand Finalist. When you put players like that on one team, they're going to have a pretty decent lineup. But suddenly Sebadam, quite an interesting aerial underdunk goal.
Yeah, Doomsy was impressed.
Well read.
Doomsy was definitely impressed with that.
It might not be over. That's one way to swing the momentum in your favor, an aerial underdunk.
Doomsy definitely the core of the team. Him and Bluey, very emotional players. Sebedam, a little bit cool on the outside. Don't quite know how he is, though, during the heat of the moment. And they've now got 1 minute and 4 seconds to pull back 2 more goals. Although Violent Panda will look to put them back up to 3. He is going to do so in the exact same way that Turbo Pulsar put in Gale Force's first goal in Game 1. That back pass straight off the backboard, and then you go up for the shot.
Well read by Violent Panda. He never looks like he's missing that shot. Team Infused so many times this series have just been baited off their goal line. They don't see the chips at their back wall. They don't see the aerial passes to the middle coming. Just a little bit too slow to react to a Gale Force squad who are playing at their best right now. Turbo Pulsar with a delayed dodge and a pass back off the back wall to K-Dop. Beautiful play from Violent Panda. The most creative assist we've seen perhaps this entire tournament. Everybody involved, Team Infused, floundering. Solid placement from the DOP. Can this man be stopped?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just watching Rocket League for the first time and you don't quite know what looks good, that is a team that looks good. Looks at Gale Force, one of the favorites heading into the tournament, really heading up that moniker at this point in time. Have taken the challenge, have taken the early loss to Team Infused, and have bounced back in the biggest of ways. 5-1 up. And Team Infused, definitely a team that is on the rise, but they have been outclassed.
Yeah, certainly. Will anybody want to play against Gale Force after seeing how well they've played? As the series has gone on, they've shown that they were able to adapt to Bluey and Team Infused playstyle. They did not get sucked into Bluey's world. Instead, they brought Infused down to the ground where they reigned supreme and then went back up to the air and even outplayed them there. This has been a very one-sided series towards the end, but Team Infused, I don't think they will be as upset as they were with their Insomnia 60 loss. They have definitely performed the best against Gale Force compared to pretty much anybody I've seen, except maybe Method Online. But Gale Force too good on the day. They move on to the semi-finals, quadrupling their winnings. At least they stand to gain more if they can continue to win, but semi-finals, our first team into that round. And we have some eager analysts awaiting to dissect that game. Wave Funk and Karma, tell us what you saw.
Boy, what a series. That game number 1, seeing Infused come out and get the surprise win there, it was looking like we might have a really bona fide series on our hands and possibly an upset as well. But then Gale Force got back into top form. The next 3 games were completely them all the way. Game 2 was really interesting. It was like a 7-goal shootout there. But then it was just Gale Force all the way. I think they shut them out in Game 3.
Yeah, it felt like Infused had a good formula working for them in Game 1. They were applying a lot of pressure onto Gale Force, and they weren't allowing Gale Force to give them much space. Their third man coming in wasn't giving them much space, and it felt like towards Game 2, Game 3, they were just giving them too much space, and it allowed Gale Force the space to dribble and do what they do best, which is pass it to their teammates, get those in-cut passes from the walls there, and that's what they do best.
Absolutely. Lawler, what were your thoughts on this match, watching it from behind the scenes?
Gale Force looks really, really good. We've been talking about that all day yesterday, coming in as probably the favorites, and they showed yet again why. I mean, that showed we were sitting back with a couple of the Twitch guys with Robin and James, watching that pass play come off back down to K-Dop. Like, that's what makes these guys so good. The ability to be anywhere on the field and just recognize that opening position and then pass it inside and then a shot. Like, they look strong. They look really strong.
I was that first game went through, and then the Game 2, the very first goal was scored by Infused, and I was like, we might just have a big upset here on our hands, which would have been crazy to see Gale Force get knocked out by Infused, but not today. The way that they are playing right now, completely in line with what we've been expecting of them as a top team, a contender to win this whole thing. And Gale Force looking quite the part right now. We've got Turbo here. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. That game was quite solid. Dropped game number 1, but then bounced back very, very cleanly in games 2 through 4. Talk me through the match from Gale Force's perspective.
The first game was quite interesting. We didn't really warm up before that. So that game was more like a warm-up game for us. We had already in mind that we were going to win this entire series, so we went in for that.
Awesome. Yeah, and you do come out in the end playing exactly like we expected you guys to play. Very, very clean wins all the way through. And the team synergy seemed to be really, really on point with you guys. How are you guys feeling right now in the tournament?
We feel pretty good. We expected to win, and ourselves expect to win this entire tournament as well.
Man, the fighting words there. He expects to go all the way.
I mean, it only makes sense, right?
You guys are expecting to win. Is there anybody that you are fearing the most right now? Anyone that you don't want to play against necessarily?
Flip side.
Flip side, really. They're going to have to be going up against Prophecy. Here's a thought for you. Prophecy and Arrow Kings, the two teams that we didn't necessarily expect to be here, and yet they've made it into the top 8. What do you think of those two guys?
I did not expect Method to go out this early. But I think Arrow Kings is the worst of the group, I'd say. And I say Prophecy is the best. I expect them to at least put up a fight.
Okay, very, very cool. So maybe we'll see Prophecy later on. We'll see them play against Flipside later, which will be pretty exciting stuff. So how are you enjoying DreamHack so far?
It's doing pretty good right now.
Yeah? Is this the first time you've been here?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first time for a lot of people. I mean, Rocket League had never had a tournament here before, so I feel like this is the first time all the Rocket League people have come out to DreamHack. So it's been a lot of fun. I had never been to Sweden before either. How was the travels for you?
I mean, he's a homeboy here.
Yeah.
He's born and raised here.
A quick train and I'm here.
Yeah.
Now, not only have you been getting some love, obviously, like we have been talking about you guys coming in as the first. You've been kind of quiet. Obviously, people are like, oh, Turbo's just a sub, blah, blah, blah. You prove yourself at LAN, now you come here and you're doing it well. Chat's been giving you a lot of love. Like, how are you enjoying that? Like, being in the forefront of, hey, Turbo's really good. Like,
I don't know. This coming out as a sub for the LAN at RCS was quite hard. Like, everyone doubted me and didn't think I was gonna do well. Obviously, I did well. We won the LAN and
did okay, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, decent at least.
yeah, right?
Do you think that there's a difference in terms of pressure from playing with Northern to now playing on Gale Force, as in like when you were playing at LAN, maybe coming in as a sub, you didn't have any pressure on you because the expectations for you weren't too high coming in as a sub. You know, you're thrust into a tough position. Now you're potentially trying out for one of the top teams in Europe with this tournament. Do you feel a lot of pressure playing, or are you kind of comfortable now?
I feel I have a lot more pressure since I'm still looking for a team. This is not my team, and I knew with Northern Gaming I was just a sub for the tournament.
Yeah, when you come in as a sub, it's like, oh, well, if you do anything, your expectations are so low, it's easy to meet that bar. But now you're a world champ. Now you're considered one of the best in Rocket League, and so you're looking down to everybody else.
No pressure, by the way.
And one thing we've been talking about with this Gale Force roster is every one of you has played in the grand finals of RLCS. You being the only player that's won it. The other two have come in second place both times. Talk to me about this lineup and you know, the nature of having that much power, those sorts of names on one team together. How does it affect your team dynamic?
I don't really think it matters that much. I think personally I'm the worst on the team.
Okay.
I feel like I'm a third man and let them do the thing they want to do.
Man, you know you've got a good team when the one player that considers himself the worst is the one who's actually won the world championship.
Right. I mean, does that change your guys' playstyle then? Like for you, because obviously you kind of led the aggression at LAN. You know, you were the first, and then the other two just kind of followed in to help. We saw that adapt throughout the LAN too. Like you started playing that back position instead. Is that similar to how you guys are playing now, or is it just kind of feeling it out as it goes?
I feel like we have more team plays in Gale Force than Northern Gaming.
Like, well, we saw a crazy one last game.
Yeah. And Devo, always we let him do his thing, and in Gale Force we have more team dynamic.
Okay. Fantastic. Cool. Well, hey, good luck on the rest of the tournament. Bud, you got any shout-outs before I let you go? Nah. No shout-outs.
All turbo.
I love that. I've actually never had that answer before, so I'm going to be like, no. Not even from Mom. No shout-outs here. But thanks so much, Turbo. Good luck in the rest of the tournament. They're going to try and make the full run today. We will find out who our champion is. We're going to go on and take a quick break here. But when we come back, Penta Sports versus Rogue, the North Americans will try to stay alive here in the tournament. It'll be cool. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.